Welcome back to the Work and Play Podcast Unlocked, episode 9 already. And hey, to anyone tuning in for the first time, welcome. If you like what you hear, hit that subscribe button. All right, today we're keeping things meta. We're going to do a deep dive into a Work and Play podcast, specifically an episode that I think is just a masterclass in how to interview. I've been picking it apart, really studying what makes it so good, and I can't wait to break it all down with you.
Always up for a good behind-the-scenes look.
Exactly. So this episode features Kayla, a massage therapist, but she has this whole fascinating career journey, and the host, Arielle, just nailed it. I mean, really nailed it. One of the things that jumped out at me was how Arielle used her own experience with Kayla to kind of frame the whole interview. Like, she actually had a massage from Kayla before they recorded the episode.
Yeah.
And she brought that up, mentioned how Kayla helped her work out some crazy knots from sitting at a desk all day. I was hooked from the very beginning.
Yeah, I think that personal touch is so important. It immediately creates this sense of trust and familiarity, like you're just eavesdropping on two friends chatting.
Totally. And it felt so natural, not forced at all. Like, it wasn't just some random detail Arielle threw in there. It was this authentic connection that they already had.
Right. Because when you have that rapport, it just makes the conversation flow so much more easily.
Exactly. It felt like they were just riffing off each other. But don't get me wrong, Arielle wasn't just relying on that personal connection. She clearly did her homework too. I mean, she knew stuff about Kayla's background. Like, she knew Kayla had a career in accounting before becoming a massage therapist.
Wow. Yeah, that's a big switch.
Right. And Arielle dug into that. She asked these really thoughtful questions about how Kayla's accounting experience actually informs her approach to massage therapy.
You can tell when a host has really taken the time to understand their guest's story, and it makes such a difference. It shows respect for their expertise, and it encourages them to really open up.
Absolutely. And Kayla did open up. I mean, she shared some really personal insights about her journey, the challenges she faced. It was really powerful.
And that's what we all want as listeners, right? To hear those authentic stories, those moments of vulnerability that make us feel connected to the person behind the mic.
100%. Okay, so there was this one part of the episode, though, where they got a little off track. Like, Kayla started talking about her experience with breath work.
Yeah, it was interesting. But I did kind of wonder how it tied back to the main theme of the episode. Like, how did that fit into her massage therapy practice or her overall career path?
Yeah, I see what you mean. Tangents can be fun, They can lead to these unexpected discoveries, but as a host, you got to be mindful. You got to know how to gently steer the conversation back on course without, totally shutting down the guest. It's a balance. Totally a balancing act. Mm-hmm. You want to allow for those spontaneous moments, but you also have to keep the listener in mind, right? Yep. You don't want them to get lost or confused.
Right. There's an art to guiding the conversation without being too controlling. Because ultimately, you want the listener to feel like they're on this journey with you and the guest, like they're discovering things along the way.
Absolutely. And speaking of discoveries, there was this one topic that I thought could have come up earlier in the episode. They were talking about the term masseuse and why Kayla doesn't like to use it.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's a conversation that's been happening a lot lately. I'm curious to hear her perspective.
Yeah, it was really insightful, but it came up kind of late in the episode. I almost felt like it could have been explored earlier. Maybe right after they talked about Kayla's transition from accounting. Because it kind of ties into her whole philosophy about massage therapy and the way she approaches her work.
Yeah, I see your point. It's almost like that conversation could have set the stage for a deeper understanding of her unique perspective. The timing of those key insights can really make a difference. It's like you're laying the groundwork for those aha moments.
Exactly. So for all you podcasters out there, I think there are some really valuable lessons we can take away from this episode. First and foremost, don't underestimate the power of personal connection. You don't need to be best friends with every guest, but find that one genuine shared experience, even if it's something small. Mm-hmm. It can make all the difference in setting the tone for a more engaging and authentic conversation.
Couldn't agree more. And once you've established that rapport, show your guests that you've done your homework. Dig into their background, go beyond the surface level, and ask those insightful questions that show you're genuinely interested in their story. When your guest feels seen and heard, they're more likely to share those deeper, more vulnerable parts of themselves.
And don't be afraid of those tangents, those moments where the conversation takes an unexpected turn. Sometimes those can be the most insightful parts of an interview. Just be prepared to gently guide the conversation back on course if it starts to wander too far.
And be strategic about where you place those key insights, those aha moments. Think about the narrative arc of your conversation. How can you structure the conversation in a way that keeps the listener engaged and helps them connect the dots?
Such a good point. All right, before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a thought to chew on. How can you apply these strategies not only to your podcast, but also to your everyday conversations? How can you become a more engaged listener, a more curious conversationalist? Because honestly, these skills are invaluable, whether you're behind a microphone or just chatting with a friend. That's something to ponder. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, and let us know what you think.
Thanks for having me.
Until next time.
See you then.
Bye.